I'm Mickey G. I am an alcoholic. Let me get a couple of things out of the way real quick. My sobriety date is July 14th, 2000. I have a sponsor who has a sponsor. I will keep to the format of what it was like before, during, and after. A little background about me is that I am one of 5 children, though 2 of them I don't know. I was raised in the city of San Bruno as a child with my grandparents, uncle, and my mom. I was born October 21st, 1970 at Stanford Hospital. Before the birth took place, I did a somersault inside the womb and tied a knot in the cord. I was born not breathing. The doctor that performed the birth said that I was stillborn, but another doctor walked in and took over. He brought me back to life after 7 minutes, which caused my disability known as cerebral palsy. I was told I was in the hospital for a year before I even got to go home. This is all hearsay. I am very fortunate because disability depends on how much work you get as a child. I have friends that are wheelchair bound and some can't talk or do anything. I feel it depends on the family members and how much they work with a child. They told my family I would not make it. I was told that my sister was home before I was. We are 11 months apart. All the doctors told my family that I would be a vegetable, meaning that according to them, I should not be doing anything that I do at all. I had a really great uncle and mom at the time, and they worked with me really hard. Because of these 2 people, I can walk, talk, and drive a car like the rest of you. This is because of my mom and uncle, mainly my uncle. A good example I can think of is when a baby wants their bottle. When I wouldn't cry, my uncle would let me suck on the bottle for a couple of minutes, then would pull it out of my mouth. He would then put it on the floor about 10 feet away from me and watch me cry and scream for hours, but I got it somehow. That was just to get me to learn to move myself on the floor. There are a couple other things that he did for me, like when I got a little bit older, about 6 or 7 years old and was still not walking. He built a walkway for me. He would stand me on one end and tell me, "You better hold on and walk. I want you to get to the other side," and I did it. I started drinking alcohol when I was 14 or 15. I remember my stepmother at the time dropped me off at a buddy's house to go to a school dance. I got drunk before the dance. This is where my drinking took off. Everything went away, and I felt really good. I could talk to people without stuttering, and I thought this was really great, so whenever anybody was drinking around me, I would put a straw in their drink and drink it. He was working at the car dealership at the time, so he had to work really long hours in that year. It was only me, my dad, and stepmother because my sister was at a psych ward. When I was 16, I met a buddy that I used to party with all the time when my dad was at work. My stepmom would tell us, "If you want to drink, come up with the money and I will go buy it." But no driving allowed sign would give up our keys. My buddy and I would drink pretty regularly. This went on for the next 15 years of my life. We would also race both our cars from Pacifica to San Jose without licenses. Our best time was 25 minutes, and it should have taken an hour. Being disabled in AA, the first meeting I attended alone, I was turned away. The second meeting sent to across the street to a disabled program instead. So I just went home and called a friend that took me to my first meeting. She said it was all right for me to attend a few meetings with her. Eventually, I found a home group that accepted me, and I met my sponsor of 15 years. I did the steps on my computer 3 times. I started meeting people with patience and that understood my speech. They didn't treat me any differently. There were a few things I could not do, like speak in front of people, so I would have my wife write on a paper to take to the meetings if there was something going on in my life. This is my first time using my speech box. I have had it for as much as possible because I like to be heard with my own words. Even if it is difficult for others to pick up what I am saying because of my cerebral palsy. I did HI for 5 years, and after I had many friends, I loved it. They did not treat me differently. I was the setup guy, so I would have to prepare everything for 60 people. I was on call for 12-step calls, which meant I was on the phone a lot with Belmont area. Then I was the key holder for one location that we had meetings in 3 times a week. I refused to let my disability slow me down. I have already beat so many odds, so why stop now? Our home group was a big book meeting and we all had to read a chapter from the book. They would ask me to pick a part, then the secretary would read it on my behalf. Eventually, we had to move here due to unfortunate circumstances, and I could not find any meetings to attend for 2 years. My son, also being a member of AA, helped me to join a meeting along with his friend who encouraged me to speak at one of their groups after hearing I was absent for 2 years. I had to meet people all over again. At my current state, I feel like I should know more people than I did back then. I feel this is because people don't know how to approach me with my disability, and maybe that is because I can't attend as many meetings in person as I would like to due to transportation. The more you get to know me, the easier the communication becomes. Don't worry, I don't bite. Being disabled in AA is not difficult stepwise, especially if you know you have a strong supporting group to lean on. I have known my sponsor for about 7 years. I feel that with a good relationship with your sponsor and home group, it makes the program easier. Since joining AA, I have become a better man and continue to grow. It has given me the opportunity to enjoy my life with my beautiful wife of 34 years, my 2 children, and my 2 wonderful grandchild. A phrase I like to keep in mind and share from time to time is, when we walk through these doors, we know as much as what's on the very first page of our books. Nothing. So we learn and we grow as not only a community, but as a new individual. There has been a couple of unpleasant encounters with a few members in AA, but I just had to be the bigger person and walk away. I would be a liar if I said it didn't bother me, but luckily I had people with me who did care for me to help me in those situations. I am fortunate to say that with this new home group, I have never found myself in an uncomfortable or difficult position. I just wish that more people would try to engage with me.
Come on, I forget who's next. It's like, Henry. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I don't know.
Can I prejudge some new members as a losers? If there's any kind of alcoholic or a personal, do I want to be in my group? Do I put myself in the position of judge regarding a newcomer, their sincerity? We're grateful for all the AA has given us in gratitude. We extend our love and care to everybody. Soy un alcohólico y me llamo Enrique. I'm an alcoholic and my name is Enrique. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your sharing. I'm the chair of area O6 Accessibilities, this panel. I have the privilege to serve in the area. In the area, we don't have too much experience. We have probably this subcommittee putting together for the last 4 panels. So we are really working together as a whole to bring the best experience to the groups and to the districts. And I'm learning a lot. More than what I give to them, I'm learning a lot. How difficult for me is to understand accessibility in the whole world and bring us inside. We don't have the problems outside different than the inside. We have the same situations. We're not apart. So I was really feeling pretty normal when I started in AA. I was 25. I get out of one of the institutions, and I don't have a place really. They take my son away from me. I was a single father for him, and there was not really much place to be. And they sent me to Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And it was really shocking for me. And I get this situation that I always have a problem with my conduct. I have easy to get frustrated and fighting with everybody. Last time when I was in jail, I guess I was with 17. They put me 17 charges for whatever I did. And I don't remember why really I get out. I know today why they gave me a chance last time. But now when I come to the AA groups, I don't want to be with you. My attitude, it was really aggressive. I don't pay attention to things really easy. I'm pretty misplaced all the time. I look pretty normal, but it takes me some time to build my skin and find out, that I'm okay with you. It was like a year after I kind of feel that I'm in a good place, and I get on a fight on one of the groups. I came from the Spanish groups, and we have this big event, like Unity Day, and probably I don't know, 700, 800 people. And I was the first person that's gonna share the experience for the first year. And I was so happy because they gave me my son back, and I got, some things happening in my life, good things. Or as soon as I get out from the stage and we start getting dancing, start getting, losing a little bit, I get into a big fight. It was so bad. I get into another fight with one of the groups too. It was not good. Um, I still the signing thing, whatever they have in the groups, because watch out for me because I steal your signature, whatever you have. I do whatever I have to do to don't be with you. Inside of me, I don't want to be with you. This feeling is before I take alcohol or any substances. I feel so, different and so not good. Why and how people in AA help me to find my place with all the principles that we have. The most important one is if you fit spiritually fit, you're gonna stop and you're gonna have a person like me and don't have those fears. We have, safety committees right now in all the groups. We start getting like more and more about safety. We start getting more chatting about safety. We have a topic on the area to talk about safety committee. Well, accessibility is not just safety, it's a lot more things. But definitely how we can approach with love and compassion. And of course, if you have that experience, do you know how to deal with people like me? You will need you, you know. I understand what people they are so afraid and they have this kind of like short temper and go like this, or things. But how we embrace these people. In AA, we say, on our one of the best spiritual practices in AA is to extend our hands in welcoming newcomers who are suffering perhaps the first time after the long road, loneliness, isolation. But this is where it really the first part of the third tradition says our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. Therefore, we cannot reject anyone who wants to be recovered. We're a big 10. We include everyone who is seeking help for the drinking problem. Our spiritual program teaches how to overcome the natural human tendency to judge and exclude a person who might be homeless, on keep, hold unpopular opinions, or exhibit a certain attitude. Any alcoholic, regardless of lifestyle, profession, race, religion, or political beliefs, is welcome. The big book says we are people who are normally will not mix, but there exists among us fellowship and friendless as an understanding which is incredibly wonderful. And the big book says we are people who normally will not mix. If it was me, I would probably take like 2 or 3 of my friends on my groups, and that's it. And everybody, But we need everybody. That guy that is now, sometimes not quiet, sometimes it's not. If you see me on my first days in AA, you won't believe that I will be here today sharing with you. You will like, no. No. Accessibility is to practice our best way on our principles. I know we have so many challenges from the beginning. Bill W says on the big book, Working with Others, he has already that time those kind of problems. And he shared their experience, how we work with these people. Sometimes he says we have to call police on the big book. Sometimes we have to call an ambulance. Sometimes he's gonna break into your house. Sometimes you go to this page and it's like, really? We still have those problems? Yes. But we have so much love that these people, will bring so much love to us because we know fear is what we, have inside of us. And all the problems we have, emotionally, mentally, we solve our problems when we are better spiritual health. When we have that help, we have, everything calm down. My son, which I did, when he was 4, 6, 5, now he's 27. And if it was not for one of the guys that was on that group, when I was kind of, not good, he take my son because in some groups they don't want kids. We don't have like a childcare. We don't have, and we don't want single fathers. We don't want, too much of single mothers with kids around. And I don't have a chance to go really. And one of the guys on the group, he take my child and go to another different side of the room, and he start playing, some things on a paper. But every month they want to kick me out because I have my child. And my son, he's so much in love with you guys. He's like, and I know how it feels to be, different with a different persons. But we're gonna go and continue to seek the better way to practice our principles of safety, but with love, with tolerance. We have so much to talk about. We always have to, find on ourselves. What is the best way to bring this to our districts, to our groups? We don't have to tell the groups what they need to do, right? They have their own autonomy. But we cannot say, hey, we are the safety committee and we have, you have to follow these directions. You don't say to NAA what they need to do. You show where your best example, how we can do it. And we're going to continue. I think we are in a really good time right now because believe me, in English groups and Spanish groups, we have the same problems. People they like to take money from, no reason. No reason, they have money. They take the money. We have people there are, getting different situations. And District 20, we've been working on the last 2 panels with a workshop, safety workshop, on the groups. Every month, the GSRs, we have, we put together a workshop with the GSRs and with service material the GSO has with 10 different topics about safety. in accessibility. The GSRs from each group, we go to a different groups and we share about this service material. And some groups, they were really like 95% of the groups, they were really like accepting our information. It's not our information, it's the information from all of us. It's the experience from all of us in here. But they think that District 20 wrote those, topics. Thank you. Then some groups, they really feel like, hey, thank you for bringing this workshop to us. We really need this, directions, experience. It's the traditions, really. But with their own works, with their own experience. Each GSR has their own experience from their groups. So when we put this experience together, we have our experience. So we go to the groups, and most of the groups, they say, fantastic, but some of the groups, they say, no, no. We're not gonna do what, tradition 3 says. We're gonna, keep everybody here, no matter what they do. Some groups, they give us like letters of how they put restriction orders to some members because it was so, intense after some period of time. Yes, we all know we have all those situations. Again, if it was not for the love, the compassion, the example, and most important, the spiritual place on one of the guys that they helped me, I would not be here with you guys. Thank you so much for letting me share.
All right, our third and final speaker tonight is Jennifer.
Hey, my name is Jennifer. I am an alcoholic. And thank you for letting me be here and share my experience, strength and hope with you. I want to first off say that I was born completely deaf in my right ear. My mother didn't know that I was deaf until I was 4 years old. When I had to go into preschool and have a hearing test done, that's how she found out. So I had my only good ear for the rest of my life. And, my mother made sure that I had accommodations in school. I had to sit up at the front with my left ear facing the teacher or whoever was speaking, written instructions, the works. And I'm very grateful that I had speech therapy early on because to this day, you wouldn't know that I'm completely deaf in my right ear unless I tell you. Or if you're trying to get my attention and you say my name, not the first time, not the second time, not the third time, maybe the fourth time, you're like, and I finally turn to you and you're like, oh, okay, now I understand what she means when she says she's deaf. So growing up, I felt different, not just because of my hearing loss, but also because of other things that happened when I was a child. I had some trauma happen. And so I always felt very different, and when I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I remember seeing one of the pamphlets on the literature rack. It said, "Do you think you're different?" Yes, I do. And it dawned on me yesterday when I was reflecting on this. I am, yes, as a human being, I am special and unique, but in terms of alcoholism, I am not. Every time I drink or put a drug in my body, I cannot stop. I get the phenomenon of craving and, you know, it's off to the races. You know, even when I tried to control it, I could not enjoy it. So, I understand now what it means when it says in the big book that we are not terminally unique or special. When it comes to alcoholism, when I put alcohol in my body or a drug in my body, I am no different from any one of you here in this room. And so I'm grateful that I get to be here. I can share with you that my alcoholism took me to a place that I don't want to go back to. I learned how far down that rabbit hole really goes, and I don't want to go back. In terms of my alcoholism, I drank it, I snorted it, and this is illicit substances that we're talking about. I ate it, I popped it like candy, and I injected it. So that's where my alcoholism took me. And coming back into the rooms, the first time I came into Alcoholics Anonymous, I was 17. And I'm turning 41 in June this year. So you do the math. So my first round, I was 17. I had 3 years of sobriety, and then I went back out over a boy. And then came back, stayed sober for 2 years, and then went back out because I wasn't changing my behaviors. I was still participating in my alcoholism, even though I was sober. You know, I worked the steps. I was active in the Young People's and Alcoholics Anonymous. I did a lot of the camp outs. I did a lot of the fun activities, you know, so I did enjoy sobriety. I did enjoy that glimpse of what recovery could be. But then when I went back out, there was no consecutive sobriety time after that. And it didn't really sink in for me until September 4th, 2021. A few months after my son's father passed away from his own alcoholism. So it was a stark wake-up call for me. And so coming back into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, I got into service. I'm a GSR for one of my home groups. It's an absolutely lovely position. If you have never been a GSR, I suggest that you try it out. I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous all over again because of that position. And then I also joined on an accessibilities committee for District 7 and learned about accessibilities in AA. And so being a completely deaf and hard of hearing member of AA, that was something that struck a chord with me. It hit home for me. And this is something I feel that God has placed in my life as a way for me to be of service. I lost hearing in my left ear back in 2017. I have tinnitus in this ear, so the ringing's never stopped. It's still ringing right now as we speak. I do wear a hearing aid. Unfortunately, the one that I have broke, so I'm in the process of getting a new one. So everything sounds really muffled right now, but I use my eyes. I watch body language. I listen to people as best as I can. I tell them to speak up. If you see me doing this, that means you got to speak louder. You know, or I can read lips too. That's something that I've learned how to do ever since I was a child. So eye contact is really important for me. If you turn and you're standing this way and you're trying to talk to me, I can't read your lips. I can't hear you. So I'll be like, you know, excuse me, you know, I need to stand on your right side so my left ear is facing you. So I make sure that I accommodate for myself. You know, I have learned that I have to be an advocate for myself. When I was working the steps, it just dawned on me while I was sitting up here. When I'm working the steps, I'm advocating for my recovery. When I do the steps, I am advocating for my sobriety. And the relationship I have with God is also being built on that. You know, I have to have that nice, strong foundation for the walls and the roof to be built. My recovery today means a lot more to me than it did when I first came in. You know, I've been to rehab 3 times, you know. I don't think I need to go back to rehab again if I, you know, like, part of me thinks, you know, oh, I know the deal. I know how to do this deal. But the thing about it is that every time I drink and use, it's back to square one. You know, it's very humbling. So I stay in service. I work the steps. I pray and meditate, you know, and I do a lot of work on myself. You know, I go to therapy as well. And I work on all that past trauma stuff that, you know, I didn't want to deal with when I was younger, but I'm learning to face it now. And coming to accept, you know, I can't change the past, but I can change what I do today. So for me, coming into the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous has been a lifesaver, and wanting to be a part of, it took a long time to really let that anxiety that I was feeling when I would go out for social gatherings, and there's a large group of us going to a restaurant after a meeting, and there's lots of chatter going on. I felt overwhelmed and have anxiety regarding wanting to be able to hear what's being said. But when one person tried to make a conversation occur with me and that person, I felt like I was right with the crowd. You know, I felt welcomed and I felt a part of. And that's something that still rings true for me today. You know, when someone takes the time to make sure that I'm included in these rooms, you know, it means a lot to me. And then I try to make sure I do that in return for the next person that's coming into these rooms. And I'm grateful that I have met a lot of other members that are in AA that are deaf and hard of hearing like me. Or they're fluent in sign language, or they have other challenges that they face, but they still come in and they have their own recovery that they do as well. So, you know, I'm grateful that I got to be the one to kind of get I learned that our district doesn't have an accessibilities committee. And I brought that question to the GSRs at the district meeting, like, why don't we have an accessibilities committee? And why not start one? So I was blessed with the opportunity to learn how to start an accessibilities committee. And now I'm happy to say our district has a permanent standing accessibilities committee. So if you guys have any questions about making AA accessible for everyone, you know, don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm not the chair. We have a position available for someone to be the accessibilities committee chair, but I'm currently not available to be able to do that position at the moment. So, and that's okay. But someone else would be a lovely addition to the committee to be able to serve and help our groups out. So yes, thank you. My recovery has been a very long, hard road. I've been to hell. I don't want to go back. You know, I'm grateful for these rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. It saved my life. And it saved the relationship I have with a higher power And I am repairing the relationships with my family because of the steps. And applying the traditions in my life and learning more about how to be of service in Alcoholics Anonymous and just outside the rooms in general. Actually, I was at the Chinese Lunar New Year parade yesterday, and there was an elderly woman sitting next to me on the bench, and she was having a hard time getting up to step over the other bleacher bench to get back onto the concrete. And I helped with her husband on the other side of her. I helped her step over, stand up, step over, and back over onto the street. You know, it was just, for me, it was just helping her out and being of service, you know, getting out of myself. I appreciate everyone allowing me to be of service. So thank you for letting me share.